Hi everyone, Evan Alexander here with another Vectorworks Cinema4d tutorial. Today, I thought we would look at workflow a little bit here. So let's build a video wall, shall we? We're gonna start in Vectorworks and move over to Cinema and see what happens here. We're just kind of going off the cuff today. Our friends at Row make some very nice kind of blow-through video walls. I've used these on a few shows. They're very nice. So today I thought we would build this V8S tile. We're not going to build this, for engineering standards. So if you need to calculate your, load weight or how to pack your truck, this might not be the perfect model for you, but it's going to look really nice in the renderings. And so that's what we're looking for here. All right, let's jump in. I'm here in Vectorworks 2021. I'm in top plan view. And the first thing I'm going to do is just import a PDF. I don't have super great drawings of this, but like I say, this is going to be accurate enough for what we need here. So we just have a cut sheet. This is going to be our guide here. So first thing I want to do is just get this kind of as close to scale as possible. Like I say, we're not going to be perfect today. Don't tell my mom. All right, so let's say modify scale objects. And so we're going to go symmetrical by distance. So what's the current distance? We're going to click on this little button here. So it's asking us to kind of mark out. I'm going to go just as kind of accurately as I can here. And this is our current distance here. This is a very large video tile. Our new distance, look, it's already in there, but we know that this is 1,000 millimeters, and we'll say okay. And then it's going to rescale this for us. So if we did this right, this should be about 1 meter by 1 meter, or like, was it 3 feet, 3.274? Perfect. All right, I love it. So this is good. All right, so let's do that. Now, this is on a layer, so let's go ahead and just make a new layer right on top of this one. And we're going to set this is set to gray, so we lost our PDF. Let's send it to show snap others. This way, we can work around here, and we won't accidentally, kind of click on this and move it and pick it up. So great, let's just jump right in. Now, I'm going to draw a rectangle. And let's see here. Well, it's pretty close. Let's get this part at least right. So I'm just putting in 1,000. I'm going to just copy this. Whoops. I'm just going to ruin this. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it in here. It's very close. And here we go. All right, let's turn off the fill here for 1 sec. Well, no, I think we're okay. Let's see here. What do we want to do? We want to try to figure out kind of what this width is. Like I say, we're not getting super scientific here, but it's saying 3/4 of an inch. I find that hard to believe. I'm feeling like it's more like 1/2 inch. So let's say it's going to be 1/2 inch. So I love that. We'll line this up here. So now I'm going to grab my offset tool here. And we're going to offset by a distance of 1/2 inch. And we'll come in here and we'll just click. And then I'm going to grab both of these now and say clip surface and get rid of the middle. And there we go. So now we have our kind of outer frame here. And let's see, what do we want to do now? So let's draw in, we're going to draw it out in 2D, and then we'll start popping things up into 3D. So let's draw this kind of center piece here and get this kind of snapped in here. 2.9, sure, that looks great. Like I say, we just want this to look visually like it's accurate. I do kind of like things to be centered up though, so I'm going to grab both of these. I'm going to just hit Command equal or Control equal here. And let's align center and align center just so we know, bloop, this is sitting exactly where we want it. That's great. And then now let's grab one of these. I'm going to duplicate this and slide it over. And then we're just going to scale this guy down here. And let's see, this probably needs to be a little bit thinner. Yeah, I'm already anticipating the hateful comments and messages I'm going to get from from the video department. So now let's see. We want to center this up. So here's what I like to do. Just to, you know what? Let's turn this guy off for a sec so we can kind of see. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a line from this edge to that edge, and then I'm going to just spin it 90 degrees. Voila, there's center. Look at that. So let's grab this guy, and we'll grab this from the top center, snap it to the line, snap it to the top. All right, so that's in. That's good. And then now let's take this, and we know it's on the other side, so I'm going to just flip over to the mirror tool here, and I'm just going to mirror this over from center. All right, so we're getting close. So that's good. Now, all we think we need here are, turn this on, is that we need these kind of horizontals. And they're, they're so fine here in this black on black PDF that we can't even really see like what's happening here, but that's okay. Like I say, we know that this has a pitch here, a pixel pitch of 8.9 millimeters. So we're going to use that as our kind of guide here. So let's turn this off. So what do we need to do? So let's take this. I'm going to duplicate this and flip it 90 degrees. So we're just going to use this as our kind of jumping off point here. This should fit in here. We'll drag this guy up here. And so I'm going to center this right on the edge. And then I'm going to move this. Hello, I'm going to move this. Why are you not working? Move command. All right, we'll say modify move. And we're going to move this minus 8.9 millimeters. There we go. All right, so just to get our first one close. Like I say, we're not being scientific here. All right, so now I want to duplicate this a bajillion times. And so let's grab our move by points tool here. And we're in the second mode here, move and duplicate mode. 60, I don't think 60 is going to get us there. Let's say 100. We're probably going to overshoot here and then clean it up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on the center of this, right? Because we're going 8.9 millimeters from the center of this, where there's a little LED, down to the next one. So that's my professional way of doing it. Here we go. See, look, wow, we're live. All right, so now if I hit tab for length, this is 8.9 millimeters, and I hit enter, and so this is now going to lock us in, and then we're going to say, okay, and click. Oh, nope, you know what? That is not right. Why is that not right? Maybe this is too thick. Is this too thick? This might be too thick. Let's make it a 1/4 inch. And then what did I do wrong here? Let's see. I'm going to grab the center. I'm going to come down 8.9 millimeters. There we go. I don't know what I did wrong there. And enter. All right. Now, do we have enough? Oh, we don't have enough. Look at that. All right, let's undo. This is the process, people. Let's take this up to 120. And center. And then I'm going to say 8.9 millimeters. Enter. That's going to lock us in. And voila. Okay, so now let's get rid of from here down. We don't need these anymore. All right. And so let's see. So like I say, not 1,000% perfect. I'm going to just grab all of these minus the frame, and I'm going to group them. And then I'm going to grab this guy here. And again, we're going to say align center, align center. I know the video designers are cringing. It's all right. Stay with me here, people. All right, so now finally we have all of our kind of 2D parts here that we need. And let's see, let's come back here. And so this whole thing is 67 millimeters thick, but that is accounting for this handle. So let's very scientifically say, what about, 45 millimeters? Sure, that sounds good. And I'm going to take this outer frame. I'm going to say extrude. And let's just say 45 millimeters. Boop. Okie dokie. So we've got that now. And so then I'm going to take this group, which is kind of in my way. I'm just going to say modify, move. And let's move this over. Here, we'll say 1,000 millimeters just to get it one tile over and out of our way. Okay, so now these guys here, we want to extrude this. Now this is what it was before when we did the outer frame, but I want these to be not quite as deep because we want these to sit on top of these guys. So let's do this. Let's subtract 1/4 inch from this. And so if I did this right here, if we look, you can see that now, here's the back, we've got this 1/4 inch depth here that we're going to use. And so our tiles are going to sit right there. So everything will be nice and flush in the front. And I know, yeah, this is kind of weird, isn't it? All right, so I can't extrude a group because it's a group. So let's do this. First, let's move it back into position. So let's say modify, move. And I'm going to just put a subtraction on there and slide this guy over. And then let's go into the group here. Now, this is made up of 109 pieces, but if we now say Control E, extrude, we can extrude all 109 of those, and it's only going to be one object, one extrude. So I'm going to extrude this 1/4 inch. I don't actually know what the depth of this is. I'm just making this up, but that's okay. And so now, instead of 109 objects, we just have one extrude. If we go into the parametric history, it's still 109. But as an extrude, it's just one object. And it's still grouped together. So let's ungroup this. So now it's just an extrude here, okay? Now, weirdly, I built this laying flat on the floor instead of kind of upright, but that's okay. If we jump here to a front view, you can see that this now is sitting, these are those rods we just extruded, but it's sitting at the back of the whole unit. So let's just drag this up here. And now, if we did this right here, let's just turn on our OpenGL. It's a little crazy with all those lines here. But so this is it. Like I say, this is a really dumbed down version of this. And, I encourage you to build a much more sophisticated version of this if this is what you need for your show. Today, we're really focusing on workflow. So I'm going to group this. I'm going to come over here into a left view, and I'm just going to spin this 90 degrees. So Control-Shift-R. And so now what we've got, if we come to front view here, now we've got our unit kind of standing up. So this is great. And so just for good posterity here, let's draw a rectangle in top plan, and let's extrude this 0 inches. Yeah, it's just like a flat polygon. And so now we know this is where the ground is. This is the 0 level. And so I'm just going to take this and just snap it to that. And we'll hit this and say, bye-bye. We don't need you anymore. And this, I didn't actually center this up in the world, but we probably should, just to be good, responsible citizens here. 0, 0, 0. Right. And so now this would be a great time to save this. And so let's just save this. Let's go tutorials, LED video wall. So let's just call this, this is a row V8S VW version 1. Just so now we have this, and if we ever need this again inside of Vectorworks, we've got it. So what are we going to do now? Well, we're definitely going to make this into a symbol. So I'm going to just grab all of this. I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to hit Command A, select all, make sure I've got all of it. And then we're going to say modify create symbol. And we'll call this row V8S. And there we go. And we'll say, okay, we don't care. And there it is. Okay, so now that we've got this, let's go ahead and export this to Cinema4d. Now, in this case, I think final quality Renderworks will be okay because everything is square on this. We didn't put in any curves or micro bezels or any of that stuff. Native Vectorworks organization is great. Export symbol as render instances. Sure, we'll keep that on. And then we're going to uncheck all this other stuff because all we really care about is the geometry. And so we'll call this, sure, we'll call this VW2C4D. And we'll save that. All right, so that's it. Now we're out of here, people. Let's jump over to Cinema4d. So here I am in Release 25, Cinema4d. And I'm going to say File, Merge Project, right? If you haven't watched the video yet on getting stuff from Vectorworks into Cinema4d, now would be a great time to do that because this is what it's going to talk about. So we're going to come here to tutorials. We're going to say LED video wall. So this is the guy we're looking for. And we're going to say, okay. And we don't need anything but the geometry. And we're going to say, okay. And so here we are. So let's call this LED video wall. So just like we expect here, because this was a symbol, right? And here it is. Geometry looks good. Super clean. This is a really basic model, but you get the idea. Now, so here's what's happening. What we're seeing here on this design layer, this is an instance, right? So this is the instance here. And what we've got is a folder called symbol hidden, and the raw geometry is right here. Now, weirdly, it's in exactly the same spot, so that's confusing. I'm just going to take this whole folder here and just go zoop, and just sink it way down into the floor underneath our stage so we don't have to see it. Let's turn off the work plane filter. Hate that thing. And so now here, if we turn this on, so here's our instance, and here's the actual kind of hard geometry. So that's cool. So now to build a wall, we're going to hide this again. We don't need this. All we really care about is the instance. This is what we want here. So we've got this guy. So now this we could put into a cloner. See how all the tutorials now are starting to come together. Let's throw this into a cloner. So I'm just going to hold down the Alt key with this selected, and I'm going to click on cloner. And so now, here's what's happening. So now we're getting these cloned, though not exactly in the way that we want. It's in a grid, which is good. We're going to turn on render instances like we love. We're in grid, and that's good. It's just that our counts are kind of wonky. So in X3, that's okay for now. In Z, we only want one version of this. So we don't want them stacked upstage, downstage. We just want one version there. And then, vertically, let's say 3 as well. So now we're starting to kind of get somewhere here where we're building a wall. Now, what we need to do is kind of work out our spacing here. So if I'm not mistaken, if we say 1,000 millimeters, bloop, look at that. It should pop these together so that, wow, they're perfect mathematically touching. It never goes this well at load-in. And then here, we're going to also say 1,000 millimeters. Poop. All right. And so now, so this is great because now we can just start expanding however many kind of rows and heights and columns that we want. And that's great. You just have to be aware that this is not sitting on the ground. This is now kind of sitting, here's the floor, here's the stage. So, we're just going to have to take this whole assembly here and, I got the floor in the assembly. It's going to take this whole thing here and move it up. So let's come into a front view here. Now, here's one thing I like to do. I'm going to come back to the symbol, to the original part of the symbol here, right? Let's turn this on so we can see it. Oh, where did it go? Oh, it's hidden here. It's hidden here. Let's move this even further down. So let's grab this part with the, the lens, the part with all the actual LEDs on it. And for right now, let's just hide this from the viewport. So this, it's still going to render, but we're not actually seeing it in viewport. And so when we come back to dealing with our video wall, this is just a little bit easier for us to kind of see like what's happening here. So again, I was going to come into my front view here and just make sure that this is sitting kind of nicely on the ground. Okay. This is assuming that I've dialed in the correct number of video tiles that I want here. Let's go ahead and, we'll use this for the ground here. We'll just make this nice and big so we can kind of see what's going on. All right. And so then what do we need to do here? So let's make a material for our floor. We're going to use Corona Renderer today. But if you were using Redshift or native Cinema4d, the process would be pretty much the same. So let's make a black floor, and we'll bring the roughness down because it'll be nice and shiny. And let's call this floor, and we'll just apply this to the floor here. We'll make this cubic. Why not? And so then, let's see, what else? So now, let's duplicate this guy, and we'll call this tile. And maybe this is a little rougher. Maybe this is maybe not as kind of glossy as our floor. Sure. And okay, so that's good, and we can apply this here. I'm just going to dump it onto the whole symbol. So there we go. And that should turn all of this black. No, not onto the symbol, onto the row V8 symbol. There we go. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. And so now we need some kind of lighting here. So I'm going to add a Corona sky. And we're going to change its type over to HDR. So we're going to use HDR lighting here. And so now we need to find one. My good old Bush restaurant here. I love this one. And so what's going on here? Well, so image-based lighting, right? So now what's happening is we're using this kind of wraparound JPEG here. This high density, high dynamic range image to light our scene. So let's switch over to Corona. We're really bouncing all over the place today, everybody. And so now if we just fire this up here, let's see, there it is. It's a teeny tiny video screen in the middle of a huge restaurant. Crazy. All right, let's hide this from view. So we want it to light our scene, but we don't want to look at it here. I'm used to working on two screens here, so let's see what happens. And here, so voila, now we have our lovely see-through video wall. So that's pretty cool. And then, since it is parametric here, we can come back into this cloner. And, if we need to start adding, kind of width, we can. Just keep in mind, when you add height, it's also going to go down. So you just have to kind of recenter this on the floor here. So that's cool, and that's great. But now, what about image, Evan? I hear you say. What about the image? Well, first, let me just point out that if I zoom in here, we turned off the kind of crossbars here in the viewport, this top traffic light here, but it's still green lit or ready to go for rendering. So when we render this, we see it, but when we're working in viewport, we don't. So that's super handy. So now here's my extremely scientific way of making video walls. Because if you were to try, let's get this to go away. If you were to try to actually like put pixels on here and spread it out, you could do it, but your computer would probably emit mysterious blue smoke and weep silently. So so here's how we do it. We're gonna take this. We're just gonna make a plane, and we're gonna set this to, how about -z? That's good. All right, so we're gonna get this into the right orientation. Here, let's go to a front view. And once again, I want to just turn off these crossbars here so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And then we're literally just going to make a plane here the same size. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this plane. I'm going to make it editable. And then I'm going to switch over to point mode here. And so let's, oh, you know what we're going to do before we do that, actually? I just undid. I'm back to this being a parametric plane. Let's set this down to 1 by 1 on our width and height segments here. And then now we'll make this editable. And then all we have here are, so we'll just drag this out. I'm being kind of quick and sloppy here. You should definitely be slow and precise as you're making this. And then we'll grab this top here and we'll just drag this up. You could turn on snapping, which I haven't done here. Let's reverse our selection and bring this down. And then if we come to top view, you just want to see here, we want to make sure that this is right now is like in the middle of the video screen. We just want it to be ever so slightly downstage of the video screen. So now it looks like it's overlapping, but it's just a weird like display glitch. It's actually mathematically downstage. So now let's make a Corona light material here. And we'll throw this onto this plane. We'll call this plane like LED lens. And I'm going to just group this in here. So now this whole wall is one big assembly. And now, so if we render now, give it a second. Hey, look at that. And this is actually probably not very bright, so it's probably not throwing off a lot of light here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our sky in the background here. And voila, now I've kind of overcranked it. So bring this down a little bit. Yeah, and so now we have this video wall. So when I need to render like with, actual like imagery on here, then we can, let's see, what do we have here? That would be good. Oh, I think we have how about a TV test pattern? There you go. The video nerds will like this. And so now, here we go. So I'm just going to, here's the trick. Assuming that you've built your content to the right proportions, which I have not, but set this to cubic and then come back up here, click on the tag and say tag fit to object. Bloop, and then it will perfectly fill in that one object. So now when we're rendering, we do this. And so this looks great and we can like see kind of what we're doing. If I then, let's get rid of this. If I want to now do like, like a white model, a clay render of this, I'm going to turn this off so that we're seeing our video wall again. And here, we'll go into Corona. We'll go to Material Override. And let's just make a new basic white material. And so now, I'll probably have to turn this on. Now, if we start up our renderer, you can see, here we go. Now we could definitely make this suck less, brighten it up a little bit, give it a little more contrast. And so now you can see here that, so when we're doing clay renders, whoa, look at that moire. It's crazy. It's going to resolve itself. But, you don't necessarily want to kind of work this way every time, but you can still, you can get this nice and clean. And then when it's time to, kind of do our hero renderings, we're going to turn off Material Override. We're going to turn off the kind of surrounding sky here. And we're going to turn on our lens again. This probably needs to be refreshed. It does indeed. And then if we zoom out, voila, you got a video wall. So probably an insanely sloppy tutorial on how to build video walls, but this is really kind of standard, typical workflow stuff for this kind of thing going from one piece of software to the other. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if this is helpful. Maybe drop a comment in there and let me know, because I thought it might be nice to do some more kind of modeling and workflow kind of related tutorials, but maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe it's a great idea. Let me know. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next tutorial.